Today, we talk to Mr. Vijay Maharaj, a prominent businessman, entrepreneur, and the CEO of the Rising Sun Community newspapers. Mr. Maharaj, welcome to our show, Radhika Talks.
Thank you, and it's an absolute pleasure.
Now, Mr. Maharaj, we're very interested in your very dynamic lifestyle. You've recently completed a very inspiring event, the Gandhi Walk. Now, it's not an easy feat to accomplish. 750 Ks you walked with a group of other people. So tell us a little bit about that inspiring journey.
I've decided to do this walk to raise funds for the Gandhi Foundation. And we started this walk in Johannesburg at our Rising Sun office in Indonesia. And 14 days later, reached the Gandhi settlement in Inanda. And the idea of this walk, again, was purely to raise funds for the organization. It was no walk in the park for sure. It was very grueling, very tiring. There's days that we were ready to throw in the towel and give up. But I must tell you that those 14 days, every single day we got up and got to the next town. And we were hosted by families in those towns. And we did every single step of that walk in excess of 750 kilometers over those 14 days.
And tell us what you learned from this grueling experience.
I think that, when you do such a walk, it reflects on your life, the past, where you're going to from here. It's like a long walk to freedom. And really, it was this long walk to freedom. You tend to find yourself, because we're so busy with work from day to day. I think any individual that starts work, and an individual like myself, where I've been working continuously for the years I have, I never had a chance to take a break and reflect on the things I've done and the things I want to do. And there was an ideal chance to take a break and reflect on things that I've done and that I want to do going forward.
Awesome, and I understand that that walk got a lot of media coverage, and you were featured on various television programs as a result of it, because this was not a common accomplishment.
Yes, as I indicated earlier on, it was certainly no walk in the park. To have covered that kind of distance, a lot of print media, electronic media have given us coverage. And in the more recent past, with the Caxton Awards in Johannesburg, I received a special award for that particular walk.
Now, Mr. Maharaj, I read somewhere that you have a passion for cars. Tell us a little bit about your passion.
I don't know if it's a passion or if it's a weakness. I love cars. I love classic cars. I've been collecting cars for the last 15 years, and I've got a host of different models. The oldest being a 1937 Buick to the later models. And as I said to you, when it comes to cars, I just seem to have this weakness. Women might have the weakness for handbags, lipstick, shoes. I have a weakness for cars.
Okay, lovely. Now, I've always been curious for men that have a car collection. Do they actually drive these cars at all, or is it just there to admire and savor? I'm just curious.
Most certainly, every single one of my cars I drive. So they're not a matter of just admire. Obviously, you need to run these vehicles so they're able to slow, you're able to maintain them. If the vehicles are parked, then they seem to be more problematic as opposed to just parking the vehicles and admiring them.
And a little birdie told me that your garage is not like a typical garage, and that it's designed like an Italian villa. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, just as I want to house myself in a nice home, and my office environment it's comfortable for my staff, I feel the same way about my cars. I feel that they need to be in a conducive environment, and yes, I've built this Italian villa for my cars. So they're all parked in this little Italian villa with a little street that goes through the center with street poles on either side, benches, and so on. That I feel that my cars need to have the same comfort that I do.
Now, Mr. Maharaj, the Rising Sun newspaper prints about 8 publications, and especially in Chatsworth, it has a very huge following, where you print in excess of 51,000 copies of the newspaper. So it's quite obvious that the newspaper enjoys a lot of support from its local communities. Tell us a little bit about that.
Our publications, we started the Rising Sun brand in 1986. This year is our 30th year that we've been in business as a community newspaper. And when you think back in 1986 and the earlier years, community newspapers were not as popular as they are now. And I've obviously started in the difficult times and not been to pick on apartheid days, but the more difficult times. And single-handedly, I started a publication. I started the first publication in Tongat, just a circulation of 6,500 copies monthly. Today, we circulate over 1 million copies monthly.
Now, Mr. Maharaj, you've earned a reputation of being a very astute businessman. What tips would you share for up and coming businessmen to help them on their journey with their respective businesses?
When it comes to a new business, I think it's very vital that we put pen to paper. It might sound old-fashioned, but it is very important to put pen to paper to see exactly what it is you want to do and where you want to go to with your business. When I talk about pen to paper, I mean the likes of assessing your market. You might want to get into business in a certain footprint, but you've got to see what the market demands, not what you want to offer to the market. Very often businesses start, but they go on what they want to offer the market, and it might not be what the market requires. So that's one very important point, where you've got to see what the demand is in that market. And when we talk about choosing a concept of a business or doing a business, you've got to be very careful. There are certain businesses that are thriving and certain businesses that are declining. And I'll give you a very quick typical example, and maybe it'll help you think when you're planning a business. How often would you now go through a travel agent, for that matter, to book a flight? Everybody's doing flights online, and the travel agent market is declining. So for a new business, that's not the kind of business you should look into. You should look into something that there's a gap in the market for, and again, as I said to you, something that the people want, not what you want to put into the market. Another point, very importantly, is financial requirement. It's important that when you start a business, that you're able to be financially sound, at least for a period of 6 months, if it's a smaller business, where should you not be able to make any revenue, you're able to sustain yourself. Because the earlier days in any business is going to be obviously more difficult. Yes, it's a bonus if you start doing business and start making profit from your first month. That you take as a bonus. But should that not happen, at least be able to sustain yourself for 6 months. When you're looking at finances again and you're going into equipment, buying be it materials, be it equipment on hire purchase, be very wary about that. Because if you don't have, and this is my opinion, if you don't have 50% of that money to put down for whatever it is you want to buy, I suggest don't go into it until you have accumulated that kind of amount of money, 50% of whatever the value is of that business. Then you take the 50%, the balance of 50% on HP. And the reason for that is obviously the interest is something that will drown most businesses, and that becomes a bit of a challenge for many businesses, where they're unable to gain momentum as a result of high interest rates.
Now, Mr. Maharaj, I understand you found a new passion and you have some aspirations to run the Comrades. Tell us a little bit about your newfound hobby.
That newfound hobby, I haven't been an athlete before. After my walk from Johannesburg to Durban, I had at least 10 of the walkers with us that did the Comrades. And I was very inspired by them as we walked along. And the Comrades was something that I wanted to do from the time I was at school, for that matter. For many, many years, I looked at the Comrades runners and I thought, this is something I'd like to do. But can I tell you, for the last 10 years, I thought the time has passed. I really put it behind me. Not in my wildest dreams did I think I'm going to have the ability or even get to or qualify to run that Comrades. And after that walk, I've decided I'm going to continue training and run the Comrades. Hence, I've done the half marathons, 21K. I've done the marathons, the 42.2Ks. I've qualified to run the Comrades. I've qualified. I've also run the Two Oceans Marathon, the 56 kilometer, and I'm a month away from running the comrades, and I'm determined. When I put my mind to something, I am certain I'll be able to do it. And it's not about me putting my mind to it, just about anybody. If you put your mind to something and you keep focused, you'll be able to do what it is that you want to do.
Awesome. We wish you all the best on your Comrades run. Now, one more thing before we finish. The Rising Sun community newspapers, you've built an empire under the print media. What next can we expect from the Rising Sun?
Just as I indicated to you earlier on when choosing a business plan, there's certain businesses that are declining. And fortunately, the print media is not declining as fast as, for that matter, the travel agent market, but there's a decline. Everything's moving towards electronic media. And fortunately for us, we've already stepped into that arena where we're creating a platform for electronic media. A Rising Sun will have an app shortly. And so while we're doing, and we're currently with the print media, alongside that, we're working with our electronic media and we're gaining momentum on that. So Rising Sun will always have its name in the marketplace, with the grace of God, of course. And if print media slowly declines, the electronic media will then gain more momentum.
Well, good. That sounds great. Mr. Maharaj, we want to thank you from the team at Radhika Talks from taking time off from your busy day to share your advice with us. It is much appreciated. Thank you very much for being on our show.
Thank you.